move on now to our closing segment, the Victory Lane speech, talking about the different aspects of the sport, some things that I'm trying to educate on. And right now, one of the things I'm talking about is the perfect night at the Speedway. Now, last week we talked about fans, and you can check that article now at k985.com. Tonight we're going to be talking about the flag-waving fans of dirt track racing, the flagmen. And I want to say thank you very much to the 4 flagmen that were willing to let me share their opinions: Doug Hack, Wes White, Logan Kelly, and Paul Zobelik. And there's a really in-depth article about this at k985.com. And it goes into, I want to share some of the highlights about some of the things they shared. Now, my goal right now, as we get things kind of started in the beginning of the season, is what makes the perfect night in racing. And let's be honest, I mentioned the 4 factions. For those that are just tuning in, my opinion, there's 4 major factions. There's more, but the 4 major factions are fans, drivers, officials and promoters as one group, and media. And when we go to the racetrack, we have different expectations. So for officials, flagmen, what exactly is the perfect night? And I wanted to start with the very first one that I thought Doug Hack gave, which I thought, now they all gave great quotes and great insight and perspectives, and I shared a lot of that in the article, but my favorite quote out of all of them, and I mentioned this, Doug, I didn't want to tell him until the show was on: a perfect night for me is when I don't have to come into play on the outcome of a race. I love that. That is a great quote. Everyone seems to think that the flagman or officials want to get in, and I can understand sometimes they just, you got to have something to blame. And I think a lot of the flagmen echoed similar thoughts. Wes White echoed what I think makes the perfect night as an official, but he and I, to be fair, worked together on the Saturday night Independence Motor Speedway program. He says the perfect night for me would be running a fast, smooth program. And also Paul Zobelik and Logan Kelly also echoed the same thing. Now, although Paul did have some fun with the monsoon season we had, Mother Nature's cooperation. Okay. I thought that was kind of funny. All right. Seriously, though, how quick as an official can I run the show? And Logan Kelly, we should be done and out of there in 4 hours with 125 cars. And if you're not familiar with these guys, Doug Hack works mainly in eastern Iowa, Farley Speedway, West Liberty Raceway, and Dubuque Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, respectively. Plus, you also see him from time to time at some of the specials. I ran into him working at the Cedar County Speedway during the Dark Side Spring Fling. Wes White is the Independence Motor Speedway flagman, but he's involved with an awful lot of race teams and also sponsors a couple of nights, sponsors a couple of cars, so a great supporter of dirt track racing. Paul Zobelik, he works up in northeast Iowa. Let's see, the Upper Iowa Speedway, Cresco Speedway. I think they have 3 shows. Also the Fayette County Speedway. And finally, Logan Kelly is the flagman over in northwest Iowa. And again, thank you to those guys for letting me share that. Now, the flagman is a huge part. Now, they mentioned about smooth programs, and they are a huge part of the racing program and how efficient it can be. And fans might think that the flagman just climbs up to the flag stand, gets to have the best seat in the house, and that's all they do is watch the race. And for the most part, to be honest with you, it is the best seat in the house, but they don't get to watch the races like we do. Logan Kelly talked about, I don't get to watch the races nearly as much racing as people seem to think. Some fans and the drivers think that I just get to stand up in the flag stand and watch everything. That's just not the case. And that is true for all the flagmen I talked about. I talked with Doug Hack, said at the beginning of every race, my eyes go immediately to turn 1. I want to make sure that there is no fuel flying in the air, and to make sure that all make it through okay, always watch a group of cars that might cause a yellow. Wes White had a very similar deal. Mostly I try to scan the whole track. I'm looking for debris, wrecks, or anything that might require a caution. Bottom line is driver safety. That's my number one concern. Doug Hack did also point out that job, the safety aspect of it, and getting the information to the driver has been a lot easier since the introduction of the receiver. And sometimes I wanted to add there, and I don't know necessarily that they pointed out, they kind of alluded to it, but I think the unwritten, the words between the lines from all the flagmen was sometimes the most important decision is to not throw a yellow. I can't tell you the number of times as a race director where I've called a yellow, and as soon as I do, the guy drives away. But, you know, it's that fine line. You got to be making sure that guy is safe. And and there's been times that I've had a few people come up and talk to me and said, why would you throw that yellow? You know, until you're really faced with that decision. You got 23 cars coming down the backstretch, and you got a car facing the wrong way in turn 4. Now, once they get in the corner, sometimes they can't always react in time. You've got to make that decision. Again, like Wes White said and all the other flagmen, safety is their number one concern. It can be a thankless job, and some of those decisions along the way can create a little bit of friction. And most of the flagmen that I did talk to said they've only really had a few, quote, major discussions. They've been pretty blessed. But because it is a thankless job, why do you come back time after time? And I think Logan Kelly summed it up best for everybody. Being a flagman is something I wanted to do since I was 6 years old. I have an absolute blast doing it. I really like the relationships I've built with the drivers and the crews, and everybody kind of said the same thing. And again, you can go to K985.com right now and read that article. There's also a link off to the fans version of The Perfect Night of Racing. I'd appreciate it if you could read it, and if you liked it, share it out with your circle of friends.